And you thought I wouldn't do it.
Of course you would do it again.
Da, da.
I'm Grimdag.
Free run.
And we're that Aussie couple.
Da, da, da.
And today,
Da, da.
this episode, we have a return to the desert. The
Dune.
sands of Arrakis.
Dune.
Our friends at PC Gamer bring us this story about Funcom and the new Dune Awakening beta. We heard your feedback. Funcom just reversed course and opened up the Dune Awakening beta weekend to anyone who pre-orders the survival MMO. Seems like that should have been the plan from the beginning. When you purchase 3 links, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we have yet to see any of this stuff.
It's going to be a year filled with game purchases this year.
Yeah.
God.
Good news for lovers and sand, spice, and or worms. Dune Awakenings beta weekend, which started today and will run until May 12th, which is tomorrow, is now open to anyone who pre-ordered the survival MMO. It's also mildly perplexing because, why weren't players who pre-ordered the $50 game on Steam automatically included in the beta weekend in the first place? Everyone who has pre-ordered Dune Awakening can now also access the beta weekend, Funcom announced on social media a few hours after the beta went live. We heard your feedback on this. If you already own or decided to pre-order any of the editions this weekend, you should now also see a beta weekend product in your Steam library. There were different ways to obtain the tens of thousands of Dune Awakening beta keys Funcom released in the run-up to the weekend, but I found it a little strange that pre-orders weren't guaranteed one. Even people who shelled out the game ahead of launch had to hope for some luck in a giveaway to plan this weekend, even though beta access is a pretty common reward for buying in advance. Whatever the reasoning, Funcom eventually figured out that it wasn't a great idea to deny its biggest fans access to the weekend beta and have set things right. Of course, the turnaround raises another issue. A lot of people who pre-ordered Dune Awakening and wound up with a beta key through a giveaway had already claimed it, which is a bit of a waste because the giveaway key could have gone to a player who hadn't pre-ordered. This isn't a huge disaster or anything, but it does feel unnecessarily sloppy, especially since just yesterday Funcom said this is not our first rodeo when it comes to launching MMOs and survival games. This statement was in reference to serviceability, but the beta weekend issues feel like a stumble right out of the gate. It's like, and yes, Funcom is
more like a trip,
fun
somersault, and you get knocked out hitting your head on a rock,
and then face planting in the sand. But no sand, no spice everywhere.
You know I'm gonna be that player that stomps across the sand and a worm turns up.
I'm just expecting to see here. Hey, what's that? And then turn around and see the worm coming up where you were. It's going to be an interesting looking game.
Yeah.
I think what we've said of that one guy's playthrough is that
he was live again today.
Yeah.
Z1. He was we were watching a stream called Z1 something or other, and I wasn't too hot on the graphics, so I don't know whether it was his graphics.
Well, he does have his turned up.
He
does have his turned up.
Well, it didn't. It looks like crap.
It's sand.
No, not that part. The part when they were doing the trial. Spoiler alert. He was doing the trial.
Yeah, all the glowy lights and stuff.
It just looked gunky.
Well, like I said, I think that's this. The Funcom developers are known for being kind of dirty more than pretty. They're more dark and gritty versus bright and light.
Yes, but there's dark and gritty and pretty.
But that's not them. They're dark and gritty and grimy and dirty and Conan Exiles and.
Oh, don't get me started.
What was the stuff they did back in the day? I tried.
I remember we went to the
Aeon
movies with Courtney to watch Conan, and we were like, "Oh, never mind."
I know the scene you're talking about now. But yes,
back to June.
Back to today. The Dune.
June.
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 Dune.
June.
June. Dune.
June.
June is when launching Dune, I believe.
June.
Or is it July? Anyways.
Well, I don't know. It depends on if I think about it. I'll probably pronounce it one way, and if I don't think about it, I'll pronounce it another way.
Dune.
June.
Arrakis.
June.
But it's interesting because it was the guy Z1 doesn't know anything about Dune, so he's sitting there making comments and stuff, and we're like, "But that's how Dune is. This is what all
Oh,
these
he
things
was
were.
annoying. It was like he had so much research to do and he wasn't doing it, and we were like yelling, "Do the research!"
Also, he was in the tutorial zone, so it's just like it was very handholdy at that point, which is fine. You know, it just it doesn't look like you're going to stay in that zone for very long, which is cool. Once you get past that, you get
Well,
to
he was apparently he had expanded the map some more, so
yeah. Once you get your bike, I guess,
can't wait for the bike.
then you can outrun the sandworm.
We'll try to. Anyway,
It's a survival PvP PvE game, right?
well, it's mostly PVE, but I think you have to go to a specific area for it to be PvP.
Until you get to the deep desert, which is the upper level stuff.
Yeah.
Your least favorite word. End game content.
Oh god, I hate the expression end game. It's like they use it for cozy games as well, and it's like there is no end game in a cozy game. I don't.
End of the current content is end game content.
Then stop calling it that. Just call it no more content. Dead end. Gone. Finished.
Yeah, they have a word for that. End. End game content. Top
No.
tier content.
Game end.
Well, that was our last episode for today with our nice little discussion on Dune.
For this week, yes.
Yes. So, you're still thinking you're going to try it? If you get a chance, you'll try Dune.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Even though it's dirty and not pretty.
Well, yeah.
Remember, stab slow for shields.
Yeah, well, that's what I figured. Like, it reminded me of the TV show Foundation.
Yeah.
That the dude, the emperor, he uses a body shield.
Yeah.
And he says to the chick, you have to like move your hands slowly, touch my shield so the shield adapts to you, and then you can touch me.
Mm-hmm.
So it reminded me of that with the knife, slow, so you can stab me.
Yeah, that's Dune shields. Been
Dune.
right there from the beginning.
Dune.
Even during Patrick Stewart's time of Dune.
Dune.
And what was his name? Was the Sting?
Sting.
Sting on Dune.
Sting got spiced.
Spicy Sting. Sting spicy? Okay, we're talking in circles. You can tell it's been the end of a day. All right, you guys have a great one. We look forward to talking to you next time. This has been Grimdog.
And Free Ren.
Bye.
Bye.